Hello folks, and welcome to my second retrospective video. This time we're going to be taking a look at a game that I thought was quite niche and unheard of, but the more I've spoken to people, the more it turns out that a lot of people have experienced this game and they hold it in quite high regard. I'm going to keep the format of this video similar to my first retrospective video, as the feedback I've had from you guys so far has been super positive about the way I've chosen to format these videos, and so without further ado, let's dive into this absolute masterpiece. The World of Illusion was released in December 1992 in both Europe and Japan, and then in March 1993 in the US. It was developed and published by Sega under one of their Sega AM research and development departments. I don't particularly remember when we got this game. It's one of the games I can remember just having sort of from the beginning, but for us it was known as the two-player game, mainly because it's one of the few two-player games we actually had in the house, but also because the co-op in this game is absolutely fantastic. It deserves to be played as a two-player game. So the game itself falls under what's known as the Illusion series. This actually started out with Castle of Illusion in 1990 on the Sega Mega Drive, followed by our subject today, World of Illusion, in 1992. The series did carry on, but weirdly only on the Master System and the Game Gear, with Land of Illusion for the Master System and Game Gear in 93, and Legend of Illusion for the Game Gear in 95. There was also a remake of the original Castle of Illusion by Sega Studios Australia that was released on the PlayStation Network and Xbox Live Arcade in 2013. While the Illusion series ended there, as such, there were a few more re-releases to come, with a Disney Collection double cartridge in 1996 that bundled Castle of Illusion and Quackshot together, and then a Japanese exclusive release of Sega Age's I Love Mickey Mouse, with the same games ported to the Sega Saturn in 1998. Some people may mistake Epic Mickey for being part of this series, but that was more of an homage to Castle of Illusion. But this game really did do the rounds more than I ever thought it would have done. It was even popular enough to make it onto the Sega Mega Drive Mini. I have so many fond memories of this game. As I said earlier, it was the two-player game. I can often remember trying to finish this game with my mum, and if the game was ever in the console, it was hardly ever being played single player. It was also the go-to game for co-op whenever friends visited, and in fact me and my sister still break this out at least once a year where possible, for old time's sake. So let's move on to the design of the game and its gameplay. So the game's music, artwork and animation was influenced by Disney's animated films. There are elements of Snow White, Pinocchio, Fantasia, and The Little Mermaid, possibly even a few more. There are 5 main stages, with 3 sets of substages that are not all played in a single playthrough. Some of these substages will only show up depending on if you're playing as solo Mickey, solo Donald, or the 2-player co-op mode. The main plot of the game goes something like this. Mickey and Donald are preparing for a magic performance, and during that preparation they discover a magical box. It turns out this belongs to an evil magician known as Pete, who sends Mickey and Donald into a magical world, and now they must find their way back home. Now while evil magician Pete sounds kind of, well, lame, it does keep with the other themes drawn upon for this game. Pete has shown up in many different forms as the main antagonist of the Mickey Mouse universe since the 1920s. The controls in the game are fairly simple. I mean, you've only got 3 buttons to work with and a D-pad, so they couldn't be too complex. But either way, you have a button that makes you run. This renders you unable to attack until you stop running. A jump button, and the attack, which I believe is supposed to be them flourishing their magical capes at enemies, but in our house we knew it as the whoosh. This game was also probably my first experience of real trolling, as whooshing your co-op partner would temporarily render them unable to move, and it was hilarious. Well, until it happened to you at least. While the game was highly praised by critics, the main thing that they did mention was the fact that levels and the gameplay itself was kind of easy. And that's where the co-op side of it really comes into its own. The levels are made that bit more interesting by the fact that Donald's large, bottom couldn't always fit through certain gaps, causing the player controlling Mickey to have to drag him through. And then you often come across ledges that require launching one player up high, and then the other player having to lower a rope to help you climb. So your health in the game is depicted by playing cards that turn over as you take damage, and they turn back to face side up when they're active. You also have a number of tries, which are your lives. In the co-op gameplay, the tries are pooled, so one person can easily let the side down. In the solo modes, Mickey and Donald will go almost identical routes through the game, with some of the sub-stages changing based on which character you chose at the beginning. And there was also a password system for this game which allowed you to skip back to certain checkpoints of the game if you wanted to resume later, but it wasn't a true save progression system, as accumulated tries and some level progression was lost. So again, if this is a game you haven't played, I would certainly recommend giving it a go. It's not a particularly challenging game, but for me it is another icon of the side-scrolling platform genre, and it's one of the earliest decent co-op games I can remember. Giving this game a go with a friend is the best way to experience it, and from my own memory, there are not many games that have such a rich co-op or multiplayer experience, and in fact I can even remember discussing with friends during the PlayStation era how games would be so much better if they had a two-player like World of Illusion. So I hope that you've enjoyed this retrospective, and as usual I'd love to hear your memories of this game in the comments, or even some of your own early gaming memories. The edited long play from the Twitch stream will soon be posted if you wish to see more gameplay, and you can catch me live on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and often over the weekend, with Saturdays being the day I'm aiming to stream more retro content that will form the basis of these retrospectives. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more of these, and with that, I will see you next time.